Kevin Stefanski's offensive identity was once his biggest asset. Now it may be the very thing that costs him his job. Under his leadership, the Cleveland Browns have shown flashes of potential, but the offense has steadily eroded into one of the worst-performing units in the NFL. The defense continues to carry the team, yet the offense remains stuck, disconnected, and ineffective. Despite a carousel of quarterbacks, the system hasn't adapted, and the results haven't improved. The problem may no longer be just about injuries or instability. It's about a coach whose system no longer works in today's league. This isn't just a bad stretch, it's a trend, and one that's proving harder to explain away each season. Cleveland's offensive failure is now supported by hard numbers and a consistent pattern. Poor quarterback development, weak play calling, and a system that seems fundamentally broken. Sanders' development, like that of many before him, is being choked by this dysfunction. Stefanski's legacy is on the line, not because of one bad season, but because his defining strength is becoming the Browns' biggest liability. Without a dramatic shift, this trajectory ends with another wasted quarterback and another head coach replaced.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Kevin Stefanski is running out of excuses. The Cleveland Browns are deep into another season of offensive dysfunction, and once again, all eyes are on the head coach whose supposed strength is calling plays. When your entire brand is offensive guru, and your team ranks near the bottom in yards per play, points per game, and overall offensive success, the narrative starts to crumble fast. And that's exactly what's happening on live television, in sports bars across Ohio, and now on First Take. Stephen A. Smith didn't even try to ease into it. He went straight for Stefanski's throat. "He's got to go," he said bluntly, calling for Stefanski to be fired. The frustration isn't just about one game. It's about seasons of underperformance, talent wasted, and a carousel of quarterbacks spinning out of control under Stefanski's watch. The offensive strategy doesn't seem to evolve. The play calling has been vanilla, predictable, and shockingly ineffective. And into this chaos walks Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback with high expectations and a fan base divided between believers and skeptics. He's the shiny new piece, but the Browns' machine is rusted. Even the most polished part can't fix a broken engine. Still, Shedeur is here, and like it or not, his trajectory is now tangled in the Browns' drama. Critics argue that Shedeur hasn't been given the tools to succeed. Missing key linemen, injured receivers, and a lack of offensive identity have made every snap a gamble. But others are less forgiving. They point to his low-point production and turnover issues since Week 12, saying it's not just about circumstances. It's about performance under pressure. The tipping point might have come against the Steelers. Another loss. Another ugly outing. The offense barely moved the ball. The defense kept them in it, but at some point, the offense has to show up. That didn't happen. The Browns averaged less than 5 yards per play. Stefanski looked emotionless on the sideline, as if confusion had replaced urgency. Shedeur struggled again. Turnovers killed drives. Third downs were nightmares. Every possession felt like a panic attack. And while some fans beg for patience, others are asking the obvious. Is this guy just not ready? But deeper down, is anyone ready to thrive under Stefanski's offense right now? That's the bigger question. Collection. Because Shedeur isn't the first quarterback to fall apart in Cleveland. He's just the latest in a growing list, over 13 since 2020. It's been a rotating door of signal callers, none of whom have lasted, none of whom have grown. That's not a quarterback problem. That's a system problem. That's a Stefanski problem. The offensive stats don't lie. This is one of the worst units in the league, despite a defense that keeps giving them a fighting chance. If Stefanski can't scheme up success for even one quarterback, what exactly is he doing? And why is he still the head coach? In Browns versus Dolphins match. In the matchup against the Dolphins, things unraveled early. The Dolphins' defense pressured Shedeur into mistakes. The offensive line was shaky, the receivers struggled to get separation, and the game plan looked disconnected. The Browns couldn't string together first downs, let alone score. That's where the critics came out in full force. Sanders wasn't the savior. Not yet. But was that his fault? He was put into a system that hasn't helped anyone succeed. He wasn't elevated. He was left to figure it out while chaos swirled around him. And every bad game chips away at his future. Post-game, Stefanski gave the usual lines. We've got to be better. We need to execute. But at some point, you have to stop blaming execution and start blaming design. You can't keep running the same plays, expecting different results. And if your team isn't executing week after week, that's a coaching failure, not a coincidence. The media asked about Shedeur's development. Stefanski dodged specifics, said he believed in the kid, said it wasn't just on him, but didn't offer any answers either. No accountability, no new ideas, just a head coach talking in circles while the team spirals. Even in practice, Shedeur's effort has been noted. He stays late, works with the receivers, tries to build chemistry, but practice doesn't change the scheme. And without a system that maximizes his strengths, he's just another quarterback waiting to get benched. He's got the mechanics, the vision, the arm. What he doesn't have is structure, or a playbook that fits his style, or protection up front. It's hard to learn when every snap feels like survival. And yet, he's expected to perform like a seasoned pro. At the podium, Shedeur has remained composed. He's not throwing teammates under the bus. He's not blaming coaching. He talks about learning, getting better, and controlling what he can. But the pressure is obvious. The questions are sharp. People are already writing their takes, projecting his future, or lack thereof. And with each week of stagnant offense, the noise gets louder. Pundits are speculating whether he'd be better off elsewhere. Whether Cleveland is killing his potential before it even has a chance to breathe. It's not about his arm anymore. It's about the environment poisoning the promise. Meanwhile, Stefanski remains on the sideline. Headset on, same blank expression. Every week, the product looks the same. Slow starts, lifeless drives, missed chances. And every week, nothing changes. It's coaching on autopilot, and the crash is coming. He's not just coaching to win anymore. He's coaching to save his job. But with each quarterback who flames out, with each offensive disaster, his credibility erodes. The Browns' defense is playoff-worthy. The offense is dragging them into the abyss. By now, the analysts are no longer asking if Stefanski is struggling. They're debating when the Browns will finally move on, and whether Shedeur can be saved from the wreckage. His film from recent games is filled with pressure, hits, and broken plays. Not development. Not growth. For Shedeur, this season might end up being more about survival than success. But it doesn't have to be the end of his story. He needs a staff that understands how to use him, that adapts to his skill set, not one that forces him into a broken template. Stefanski was supposed to be that guy. He clearly isn't. The chemistry between Stefanski and Shedeur was supposed to be the key. A coach with an offensive background, paired with a talented rookie quarterback, that's the kind of setup teams build around. But from the jump, something fell off. The play calling never complemented Shedeur's strengths. The designed runs, the quick reads, the rhythm throws, none of it materialized consistently. Instead, we got long developing plays with a collapsing pocket. We got third and longs every drive. And we got a rookie quarterback trying to do too much to compensate. That's not a development plan. That's a demolition strategy. And the worst part? Stefanski doesn't seem to notice. Or worse, he does, and just can't fix it. There were stretches where Shedeur was visibly frustrated. After stalled drives, you'd see him on the bench, helmet off, talking to no one, eyes locked forward. It's a kind of stare that says more than a press conference ever could. He's not just upset. He's realizing that this might not work. You can train for coverage reads, blitz pickups, timing throws. But how do you prepare for dysfunction? How do you grow as a quarterback when the environment stunts your every attempt? That's the uphill battle Shedeur is fighting. And he's fighting it mostly. By the time the Browns faced the Bengals, the cracks had turned into craters. The offensive line gave up pressure after pressure. Receivers couldn't get separation. The Browns failed to score an offensive touchdown. Stefanski's scripted drives were lifeless, and the in-game adjustments were non-existent. Even with a beatable Bengals defense, the Browns couldn't capitalize. It's not just a slump, it's a pattern. And every loss inches Stefanski closer to the edge. Cleveland fans have seen this movie before, and they know how it ends. The only question is, do the Browns front office know too? The sideline shots tell the story. Stefanski clutching his laminated play sheet like a lifeline, wearing the same expression after a 3-and-out as he does after a red zone interception. That lack of visible emotion used to be called poise. Now it just looks like denial. Coaches don't have to be screamers, but they do have to respond. They have to evolve. Stefanski hasn't. And the locker room feels it. Players aren't going to call it out publicly, but the body language is unmistakable. This is a team that knows their offense isn't scaring anyone. In preseason, there was cautious optimism. Shedeur showed flashes, quick feet, poise, strong throws under pressure. It was far from perfect, but it gave fans hope. Maybe they had something here. Maybe Stefanski would tailor the system to the rookie's skill set. But once the real game started, that flexibility disappeared. The creativity vanished. The game plans looked stale, as if the staff didn't believe Shedeur could handle more. And the irony? Holding him back might have hurt more than pushing him forward. There's growing tension between coaching and management. Andrew Berry, the GM, backs Stefanski publicly, but you can sense the hesitation. Because at some point, if the offense stays this bad, ownership is going to look at the front office too. The accountability train doesn't stop at the head coach. Berry drafted Shedeur. He made that bet. If Stefanski can't develop him, then that failure loops back around. It becomes an organizational stain. And that's where the pressure really builds. Not just to win, but to show you had a plan. Right now, the Browns look like they never had one. In his most recent interview, Shedeur didn't lash out. He talked about growth, about staying focused, about learning through adversity. But the exhaustion showed. These aren't normal rookie-year struggles. These are compounded failures of structure, strategy, and support. He was asked if he felt the system was helping him. He dodged it with grace. Said he had to be better. Said it's on everyone. But fans heard the subtext. You can't blame a quarterback for being composed. But you also can't expect him to carry a sinking ship every Sunday. Comparisons are starting to swirl. Not to Mahomes, not to Burrow, but to Lamar Jackson's early years. A young quarterback with elite tools, placed in a system that didn't immediately fit. The difference? The Ravens adjusted. They built around Lamar. They leaned into his strengths. What's Cleveland doing? They're trying to force Shedeur into a scheme that didn't even work with veterans. The longer they resist adapting, the more likely they lose not just games, but the quarterback they invested in. You can't coach scared. And you definitely can't coach. Stefanski's legacy is now hanging by a thread. His Coach of the Year award feels like ancient history. Since then, it's been regression, excuses, and rinse-repeat failures on offense. The defense keeps showing up. The special teams do their job. The offense goes town. If Stefanski finishes the season with these same offensive numbers, there's no justifying it. No more injuries, excuses. No more young quarterback excuses. His playbook has been exposed, and the league has caught up. Worse, it's past him. Shedeur's highlight reel has become a cautionary tale. Even the best throws get buried under bad protection or dropped passes. He's learning the NFL the hard way, through bruises, frustration, and wasted opportunities. And the scary part? This could stick. Young quarterbacks can be broken by bad systems. We've seen it before. Confidence fades. Mechanics regress. The bad habits creep in. If the Browns don't course correct soon, they might not just ruin a season. They might ruin a career. The window to fix this is small. Stefanski has to go if he can't make a leap. Shedeur needs a real shot to succeed. And the Browns need to stop pretending this is just a slump. It's not. It's a system failure. A top-to-bottom implosion of offensive. By the time the Browns lined up against the Ravens, the storyline had already written itself. Cleveland's offense was in a full tailspin, and Baltimore's defense was salivating at the chance to add another chapter. The Ravens came in aggressive, sent pressure early, and the Browns' offense did what it's been doing best, nothing. The crowd could feel it. The atmosphere was tense before the first whistle. Cleveland's defense gave them a chance again, but the offense handed it back with 3-and-outs, miscommunications, and turnovers. And right there on the sideline, Stefanski with the same blank expression that's become a meme in Browns forums. Shedeur tried to rally. A few solid throws, a couple of scrambles to keep things alive, but nothing sustained. He was running for his life on nearly every drop back. The offensive line got bullied at the line of scrimmage, and even on designed quick throws, the pressure got there before the routes developed. You could tell he was trying to be the spark, but even sparks need oxygen, and Stefanski's playbook was suffocating him. There was no rhythm, no adjustment, no momentum. It was another game where Shedeur didn't get a real shot, and another game where the narrative turned against him. After the game, Stefanski stood in front of the media and said, "We have to execute better." Again, the same phrase he used last week, and the week before. Execution is code for, "Don't blame me, they didn't run the play right." But at what point do we stop pretending this is just about players missing assignments? He's the offensive architect, and the house keeps collapsing. Maybe the blueprint's the problem. Maybe the system is broken. And maybe it's time to stop acting like this is fixable under Stefanski's. Late in that Ravens game, Shedeur took a hit that left him slow to get up. Trainers rushed out. He walked off under his own power, but the replay was brutal. His back bent awkwardly as he absorbed the sack. The hit wasn't just painful, it was symbolic. Another young quarterback taking punishment in a system that refuses to protect him. The Browns said it was minor afterward. But minor injuries stack when you're constantly under siege. Every sack, every scramble, every unblocked rusher chips away at a young quarterback's longevity. And in Cleveland, that erosion feels accelerated. Against the Patriots, it was more of the same. Shedeur was back under center, but nothing changed. Bill Belichick came in with a plan to confuse and pressure, and the Browns' offense once again folded under basic NFL disguise coverage. The Browns had one red zone trip. One. And they walked away with a field goal. The rest of the game? Punt. Punt. Interception. Punt. That's not just a quarterback issue. That's an offensive culture problem. And Kevin Stefanski is the one who set that culture. Deal promotion. Off the field, Shedeur's rising profile brought attention of a different kind. He inked a major KFC endorsement deal. His first big corporate partnership since joining the league. On social media, the campaign launched to mixed reactions. Some fans were thrilled. Others criticized him for cashing in during a losing season. But here's the thing. The brand wants Shedeur, not Stefanski's playbook. He's a name, a face, a personality. And right now, the Browns are holding him back. His marketability might survive the losing, but his football future won't if the system doesn't. Then came San Francisco, a measuring stick game if there ever was one. And it went exactly how you'd expect. The 49ers defense dismantled the Browns from the opening snap. They blitzed, they disguised, they baited throws, and Stefanski had no answers. Again, the offense didn't just look bad. It looked unprepared. And that's the most damning thing you can say about a head coach. At this point in the season, you either adapt or you get exposed. And Stefanski's been getting exposed for weeks. In Browns versus San Francisco 49ers match. On the sideline, Stefanski clapped half-heartedly after a 3-yard gain. He huddled with assistants. He stared at his laminated sheet like the answers were written between the lines. But nothing changed. They stuck with the same slow-developing routes, the same zone runs that haven't worked all year. The commentators started hinting at it on air. You wonder how long the Browns front office lets this go. That kind of speculation used to be reserved for off days. Now, it's bleeding into live broadcasts. Stefanski's job security isn't a quiet debate anymore. It's a countdown. In Browns versus San Francisco 49ers. And Shedeur? Another day of chaos. The 49ers defense swallowed up every drive. There were brief flashes. One deep shot nearly connected, a scramble extended a busted play, but nothing sustainable. No support, no protection, no rhythm. It's not just about wins and losses anymore. It's about erosion. His development is being chipped away one game at a time. And if Cleveland doesn't act, they're not just wasting a season. They're burning a rookie contract window. In the post-game presser, Shedeur kept his cool. "We gotta find answers," he said. "We can't keep making the same mistakes." But anyone listening knew where that quote was aimed. He's not just talking about dropped passes or missed blocks. He's talking about the scheme, the leadership, the failure to evolve. He didn't throw anyone under the bus. He's too smart for that. But the frustration was there, just beneath the surface. A few more weeks like this, and it won't stay buried. You can't expect a competitor to suffer in silence forever. And at the center of it all is Stefanski, the coach who was supposed to bring stability, vision, and growth. But instead, he's delivered recycled schemes, quarterback regression, and organizational doubt. The Browns don't need a fresh coat of paint. They need a new blueprint. The Vikings game was billed as a get-right opportunity, a softer opponent, a chance to finally stabilize. But the Browns' offense did what it's done all year, collapse under its own weight. The first drive showed promise, but by the second quarter, it was deja vu, confused blocking, missed reads, and Stefanski looking shell-shocked. The fans were audibly fed up. Boos started early, and by the fourth quarter, the stadium was half empty. Not because the team was outmatched, but because people were tired of watching the same failure repeat. No urgency, no fire, just wasted possessions and another L in the standings. Shedeur's stat line didn't tell the full story. The raw numbers were forgettable, but the context was brutal. 5 sacks, relentless pressure, and 0 time to work through progressions. Even when he made the right read, defenders were in his lap before he could release the ball. You could see it in his body language. Not checked out, but over it. He's doing everything he can with nothing to show for it. And if this keeps going, the damage won't just be to the scoreboard. It'll be to his growth, his confidence, and his future. At this point, it's not about patience. It's about competence. And Cleveland's coaching staff is losing the benefit of the doubt with every passing week. Let's hear from you. Are the Browns doing more harm than good by keeping Stefanski in charge? Or does Shedeur need more time before the system can be judged? Tap that like if you're riding this roller coaster, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this mess. Because with the Browns, the drama never ends.